Most of Gen Z isn't broke because they don't earn enough. They are broke because they believe things about investing that are completely wrong. I'm going to bust the 5 largest investing myths that are costing Gen Z thousands of dollars. Hey, my name is Casey. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe. Let's jump in. The first myth that people have about investing is you need a lot of money to get started, or you need enough money to cover the full price of one share. I had a friend where I would consistently exchange ideas with him. We would talk about the S&P 500, we would talk about VTI, international ETFs, and other great performing ETFs. When I asked him how those ETFs were doing, because I assumed he would be investing in those as well, he'd let me know that he never invested to begin with. I was totally shocked by this, and what came out of our conversation was that he avoided investing into these ETFs and index funds because he believed that he needed to have enough money to purchase one full share. This is a huge mistake. On today's brokerages, whether it's Robinhood, Fidelity, Schwab, you can invest in fractional shares, meaning you can purchase a share worth $500 for as little as $1. You get a portion of the total share, meaning you can buy $1 worth of SPY, Apple, Amazon, or any stock or ETF on these platforms. The minimum to start investing is not the share price, it's whatever you can afford to invest. The earlier that you start investing, the more it becomes worth. $5 invested at 18 is significantly more valuable than $50 invested at 30. One of the largest reasons why Gen Z delays investing is they believe that they don't have enough money to get started. While I kind of understand the logic behind this, this is the single greatest mistake you could make when it comes to investing. The second most common myth that Gen Z gets wrong about investing is that you're too young to get started with retirement accounts. I made this mistake myself, and I made a whole video about this. Opening a Roth IRA or any investment account is beneficial the moment you turn 18. The earlier you get started, the more time your money is invested and the greater the compounding effect will be. Because I focused on my brokerage more than my retirement accounts at an early age, those mistakes are going to cost me nearly $80,000 in taxes alone by the time I'm ready to withdraw. The earlier you start, the more time your money has to be invested, the greater amount it grows into. And that money, because of the retirement account's tax status, is going to be completely tax-free by the time you withdraw. Most Gen Z think that retirement accounts are for people in their 40s or 50s, and they don't have to worry about that right now. But by the time that you realize that mistake, by the time you turn 40, you have given up incredible amounts of returns. For 2026, the Roth IRA contribution limit is $7,500 or $625 a month. If you can afford to contribute that much, invest into that first before you start investing into your brokerage account or other investments. But if you can't afford $625 a month, then any amount will do. $25 a month, $50 a month. Any amount invested now at an early age is significantly more valuable than similar amounts later on. The third most common myth about investing is that you should pay off all your debt before investing. Here's what I mean by that. I had a friend who purchased a car. He was making good money and was able to easily afford the car payment and other expenses related to the vehicle. Every excess dollar that he had on top of his car payment, he saved into a high-yield savings account. He had so much savings stacked up that he had enough to cover over 12 months of expenses. When I asked him if he was investing, he said he wasn't. He refused to invest until he had zero debt. Any extra money that he had left over, he would be putting into his high-yield savings account, way beyond what you actually need. I want you to take the next part of this video seriously. Not all debt is equal. If your rate of interest on your debt is lower than the investment return, you're better off investing that extra money into that investment. Something like the S&P 500 has historically returned around 10% annual returns. In the case of my friend, that extra money beyond his emergency fund was only earning him 4%. He wasn't paying off his debt, it was just sitting there accumulating basic interest. If he took that money and invested into the S&P 500, he would generate 10% versus 4% for every year that the money was invested. Your high interest debt, like credit cards that are incurring over 20-25% interest, should be paid off right away, above everything else. That is going to outpace any investment return that you could possibly get. But low interest debt, like your car or anything else in that 4 to 5, maybe 6% range, it is a completely different calculation. In an alternate universe, let's say person A did exactly what my friend was doing. And over a 5-year car loan period, they were simply saving their money into a high yield savings account, earning them 4%. Their loan was 5 years. On the other hand, somebody over those same 5 years took whatever they have beyond their emergency fund and invested it, earning 10% annually. This person that invested into the stock market generated 40% more on their money than the person saving in a high yield savings account. If you take anything from this specific segment, it should be this. If your interest rate on your debt outpaces the S&P 500, you should pay it off immediately before you start investing. But if your interest rate is below that, consider investing with the excess cash that you have. Now, in the case of my friend, after I showed him the numbers and the amount of money that he was leaving on the table, he did begin to invest. By saving that money, he assumed he was being responsible, but in reality, he was just being more expensive. Myth number 4 about investing is that dividend stocks are free money. This one actually surprised me when I first learned about it. Most people assume that dividends are bonus payments that you get on your stock, but they are not. And understanding this might change your thought about dividend investing. Dividends are not extra money. It's your money being returned to you. When a company decides that they're going to pay a dividend, their stock will drop by the same amount as the dividend paid. For example, if a stock is $100 and this stock decides to pay a $5 dividend, that company's stock will drop to $95 the moment that the dividend is announced. In the end, yes, you got a $5 payment, but the value of your stocks also dropped by the same amount, meaning that you're no better off having the dividend than not having the dividend. The whole benefit of dividend stocks is typically their reduced volatility and the way that they change the investor's psychology. For young investors, most dividend-paying companies are going to underperform the index funds. And that's simply because large dividend-paying companies don't reinvest their money back into growth, but return it to their owners and their stockholders. Dividends are not bad, let me make that clear, but they're not free money that you're getting from the company. Understanding this about dividend stocks is going to make you a significantly smarter investor than other people your age. The 5th most popular myth that people believe about investing is that a lower stock price has higher potential for gains. I keep trying to explain this to people. I had a family friend that refused to invest in a stock because it was too expensive. Their logic was that a cheaper stock had more room to grow than a stock that is more expensive. They did not understand that the price of the stock tells you nothing about the potential of its growth. The only thing that matters is the percent change. A stock going from $5 to $10 is a 100% return. That's the same thing as a $500 stock turning into a $1,000 stock. The dollar amount of the share is completely arbitrary. That is determined only by the amount of shares that have been distributed by the company. The actual price of the share is determined by the amount of total shares that a company releases. It does not show how valuable or how cheap a company stock really is. A $5 stock is not a better deal than a $500 stock. There's simply just more shares of that $5 stock available on the market. There's just more shares on the market for that $5 stock than that $500 stock, making the price per share less expensive. So instead of focusing on the dollar amount or the price of the actual share, I want you to change the way you look at that and look at the actual market cap of the company. The market cap should be available on any stock listing that you look up. So this could be on Robinhood or any other brokerage that you use. But you should be able to scroll down and see the market cap section. The market cap, that tells you how large the company actually is. This is how much the company's stock is worth if you added up all the shares outstanding. This is going to give you a better idea of how large the company is and how much room they have to grow. But market cap shouldn't be the only thing you're looking at when determining what company to buy. Be careful when you're investing and don't just look at the price, look at the market cap and other features of the company stock. Just because a stock is 500 and the other is 50 doesn't mean that the $50 stock is going to have a better chance of exploding than the other one. So these are the 5 myths. All of them are fixable once you understand the underlying truth. Thank you for joining me on today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come out of this video more knowledgeable than you were going into it. If you enjoyed this type of content and want to see more, feel free to check out my channel. If you are looking forward to new videos, feel free to subscribe. I post videos like this every single week, helping Gen Z understand personal finance and investment tips. Hey, my name is Casey, and this was another investigative look into your wallet's future. I'll catch you in the next one.